Chapter 1. Jiangqing, late autumn, 5:30 in the afternoon. The sun was covered by the clouds at some point, and the sun was trapped in the thick clouds, struggling to reveal a few rays of afterglow. Shuyi lay on the table for a long time, cold sweat bursting out of his forehead. The clear ringing of the mobile phone was particularly refreshing amidst the mechanical and dense keyboard sounds, pulling Shuyi's consciousness out of the chaos. "Hello, are you Shuyi, reporter from Kaijing Weekly?" Shuyi lay down on the table to answer the phone, holding on to speak. "It's me, may I ask who you are?" "I'm Sheng, assistant to the president's office of Mingyu Bank. A month ago, your magazine and Shi Yan always made an appointment for an interview. The original date was tomorrow. Do you remember?" Shuyi woke up instantly and subconsciously straightened her back. Of course she remembered it. She had heard the name Shi Yan too many times in this period of time. In the beginning, he was well known in the industry because he suddenly appeared in the financial circle as the son of Shi Wenguang of Mingyu Group. After returning from studying in Europe, he took over Mingyu Bank, a private commercial bank under Mingyu Group. This was not a good thing for the industry insiders at the time. After all, the bank's operating status was already in jeopardy. Some financial critics even changed their serious words, thinking that it was Shi Wenguang's use of half-baked subsidiaries for his son to play with. Ticket. However, after Shi Yan took over Mingyu Bank, he sharply resolved the bank's over-reliance on deposit and loan business, prominent risks and other problems, pointed at the risk management and control mechanism, and acted vigorously to turn things around. The banquet at the age of 27 aroused the attention of the entire financial world. Various honors came one after another, and interview invitations naturally also hit the hotline of the president's office of Mingyu Bank. Despite his early fame, there are very few interviews and reports about him. Even in the most mainstream media, it is difficult to get interview opportunities. If you can get a few words from him, it is enough to publish the most eye-catching pages. But this time, it was an interview that the editor-in-chief of the magazine had spent a lot of time trying to get through the relationship with all parties. When the editor-in-chief handed over this task to Shuyi, the entire magazine was envious. How much attention the name Shi Yan can attract in the media also means how much attention the reporters who interviewed him can get. But now this phone call made Shuyi's heart hang, and asked cautiously, "Is there any change?" "That's right," Sheng said. "The interview was originally scheduled at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, but due to Mr. Shi's personal work, tomorrow's time is not available." Shuyi, after that, "Maybe there will be no time in the next few days." Sheng said, "So, if it's convenient for you, is it acceptable to postpone the interview to a week later?" "Cannot. Finance and economics interviews pay attention to timeliness. Wait a week for the interview, return to check and publish the manuscript. The day lily is cold. It really won't work after a week. Can you spare some time?" "A telephone interview is also possible." Sheng, "I'm afraid it really won't work. I can't tell you about the specific work, but it will take a week at the earliest to be free." "What about tonight?" Shuyi asked anxiously. "Are you free tonight? Just 3 hours, or 2 hours?" Before Sheng could answer, Shuyi gritted his teeth, and said, "1 hour is fine. Just be flexible." She has prepared for this interview for nearly a month, and she has a thorough understanding of the public financial dynamics in Shi Yan's hands, and she is counting on this manuscript to earn fame this year. After a moment of silence, Sheng lowered his voice and said, "There is always a more important banquet tonight." "Maybe, I just said maybe, I might find some time in the middle." "Look, I'll wait," Shuyi agreed without saying a word. "Give me the address, and I can come and wait." Before hanging up the phone, Sheng emphasized again, "Miss Sheng, I can arrange a place for you, but I can't guarantee that there will always be time and you may run away." There was only a mechanical beep sound in the receiver, and after lingering in his ear for a long time, Shuyi had to boom back to the table. The tension in his head slowly dissipated, and what followed was a feeling of emptiness. Disappointed. It was supposed to be fun to be able to interview Shi Yan, but the psychological sensitivity of the menstrual period was heightened to the extreme by the loss at this moment, and Shuyi's mood was definitely not good, and even a little sad. Today is her boyfriend Yu Xingzhou's birthday. It was their first birthday since they were together. Yu Xingzhou also specially prepared a restaurant and booked movie tickets to celebrate with her when she got off work. Not only could she not be able to celebrate Yu Xingzhou's birthday with her now, but she had to drag her sick body to work, and she might even miss a trip. Shuyi turned her face around, closed her eyes, and took a few deep breaths, then immediately turned off the computer and began to pack her things. Kong Nan was immersed in writing, but when he heard the movement at the opposite table, he raised his head and asked, "What's wrong?" Shuyi stood propped up on the table for a while, and waited for the cramping pain in her lower abdomen to pass, before saying, "The interview has been advanced, and I have to go tonight." Kong Nan noticed Shuyi's expression. Although her skin was fair and clear, there was no trace of blood at this moment. It was almost transparent, and her morbidity was clearly written on her face, and she completely lost the usual lively sense of agility. "Are you okay? If you can't, you have to do it, otherwise what can I do?" Shuyi walked to the printer, hugged a stack of documents, and stared at the ground with drooping eyebrows for a while. The printer moved silently, and the paper was piled up in front of it in an orderly manner. "I don't know whose cell phone rang." Shuyi suddenly raised his head, blinked his eyes, and took out his cell phone. "She should have called you Xingzhou, but just after digging out the address book, the other party called you Xingzhou as if he had sensed it. Baby, when do you get off work? Shall I pick you up?" Shuyi leaned against the printer and drew circles on the page with his fingers. "I'm sorry, I'm going to interview temporarily. It may take about 2 hours. I shouldn't be able to have dinner with you." She thought for a while and then said, "I'm not feeling well today, and maybe I won't be able to go to the movies tonight." Yu Xingzhou sighed when he heard the words, and said, "Okay then, I'll find a friend and make do with it." "Well, I'm sorry." Shuyi pursed her lips, and her voice became softer. "Can I make it up for you next time?" "What?" Kong Nan waited for Shuyi to hang up the phone, turned the pen, propped his chin with the other hand, and said with a smile, "Dove your boyfriend. Otherwise." Shuyi asked back, "If you don't love your boyfriend, is it time to have a feast?" "Sigh, it's pitiful. Your dear boyfriend was robbed of the opportunity to celebrate your birthday with you by a man who has never masked his face. It's as if I'm going to accompany Shi Yan to celebrate his birthday." Shuyi picked up the documents and went to the side to bind them. "I'm speechless. I don't even know what Shi Yan looks like, but I want to dove my boyfriend because of him, friend." Kong Nan felt a little unbelievable, but then again, does your boyfriend have any objections? Is there any opinion on this kind of thing? Shuyi thought for a while and said, "He didn't say anything, but he expressed his understanding." "TSK, your boyfriend is too reasonable," Kong Nan said while turning off the computer. "Unlike my boyfriend, who is clingy to death, if I dove him, no matter what the reason, he will definitely get angry with me." In a trance, Shuyi lost his mind for a moment. With a click, she felt a tingling pain in her fingers, and she pulled her hand away reflexively to avoid being pricked by the stapler. But the sharp pain at the fingertips did not dissipate for a long time, and gradually spread to the heart. Shuyi held the documents in one hand and the mobile phone in the other, and was lost in front of the printer for a while. "I'm off work." Kong Nan got up with the bag and handed over a box of medicine. "I see you've finished your painkillers. Take mine, and take some in advance, so you don't pass out from the pain during the interview." After finishing speaking, she leaned closer again and whispered, "If you mess up, some people who are eyeing you will die of joy." Shuyi had no intention of responding to Kong Nan's reminder at this time. Her mind was full of the words reasonable. "Yu Xingzhou, are you being too reasonable?" Moreover, she just said that she was not feeling well, yet Yu Xingzhou didn't even ask her what was wrong. "Once a certain idea is born, it will germinate in my heart irresistibly." Shuyi sat down at the workstation in a daze, and after hesitating for a while holding the phone, he sent a message to Yu Xingzhou. "Shuyi, are you unhappy? Gakusishu." Yu Xingzhou, "No, I understand, work is important, and we will celebrate many birthdays together in the future." Yu Xingzhou, "By the way, you said you are not feeling well, what's wrong? Are you sick?" Shuyi let out a breath. "It seems that menstrual period is easy to be sensitive, and I think too much." Shuyi, "It's nothing, it's just that menstruation is uncomfortable tat." Yu Xingzhou, "I feel sorry for the baby." Yu Xingzhou, "Where did you do the interview? I'll pick you up when it's over." The address Chen Xing gave was Warner Manor in the western suburbs. It was rush hour, and there was a traffic jam on the road. Enduring the abdominal pain, Shuyi took a subway bus and took a taxi along the way. It took an hour to reach the destination. It would be a lie to say that she wasn't upset. Along the way, she didn't know how many times she silently scolded Shi Yan, but the place Chen Xing arranged for her was the rest area above the banquet hall. This place is spacious, gorgeous, but empty, enough to magnify the loneliness of a stranger 100 times. Shuyi sat on the sofa, her legs dangling with the ticking of the wall clock, looking around over and over again, trying not to fall asleep. However, the waiting time was too long. She drooped her head like a chicken pecking rice a few times and almost fell asleep, until there was a sound of pushing the door. Shuyi sat up straight in shock, raised her head and looked at the door. Under the direct light, a man drove in. As the light became brighter and brighter, Shuyi saw the person coming, and was discouraged all of a sudden. It wasn't Shi Yan who came, but his brother-in-law Qin Xiaoming, who was now the second in command of Mingyu Group. This person had been interviewed by Shuyi several times, so the two could be regarded as acquaintances. Qin Xiaoming also caught a glimpse of Shuyi when he came in. At first, she straightened her back abruptly, and her bright eyes could be seen to be extremely excited even in the dark. But the moment they met his eyes, they dimmed again, and even the whole person felt a little depressed. Qin Xiaoming paused, took the phone aside and covered it. "Why are you here?" Shuyi replied truthfully, "Come and wait for Mr. Shi. There is an interview today." Qin Xiaoming looked her up and down, looked at her pale face for a few more seconds, didn't say anything, just muttered "it's so late" and left. Shuyi sat for another 2 hours, as long as 2 long nights. I don't know when it started to rain outside the window, pattering against the leaves, making a bleak rustling sound. Occasionally, there are occasional movements from the banquet downstairs. Although it is small, it can be expected to be lively. With such a comparison, Shuyi felt that he was even more miserable. Just when she couldn't bear the drowsiness and her eyelids were fighting up and down, the phone finally rang. The crisp ringing of the bell gave rise to an ominous premonition in the empty house. "Miss Jing, I'm sorry, the banquet here is over. Mr. Shi has other things to do, so..." Really, Shuyi was silent for a few seconds before saying, "I see, thank you. This interview is still too late." The moment Shuyi stood up, she felt dizzy in her head. She leaned on the sofa for a while, before stepping on her high heels and getting into the elevator. When she got outside the gate of Warner Manor, as expected, the rain had already sealed the gate. The autumn leaves and the cold wind slapped Shuyi's legs like a knife. She didn't expect to stay outside for a long time today. She was wearing a daily OL suit skirt, which looked serious, but the thin layer of transparent stockings was just for etiquette, and it was not worth the trouble at all. The legs under the coat were exposed, and the skirt could barely cover the knees. In this cold wind, it became more eye-catching than the luxury car at the door. Gradually, people came out. Shuyi stepped aside, and when she turned her head to look, she found that many people had been interviewed by her. From the looks of it, this is a reception in the financial world. Shuyi subconsciously wanted to see if it was possible to meet Shi Yan again, but to her surprise, she didn't know what he looked like. Shi Yan's style is very low-key, and he rarely appears in front of the public. When Shuyi was preparing materials, he searched the internet and only saw his unclear figure in some large panoramas, but there were no serious portraits. After a while, a female CFO of an internet finance company had a double-sided relationship with Shuyi. Seeing her standing here pitifully waiting for the bus, she offered to take her home, but Shuyi refused. Just now Yu Xingzhou said that he would come to pick her up. It was 11 o'clock sharp, an hour before his birthday passed. She thought, no matter what, she still had to say happy birthday to him personally. The parking gallery on the first floor is spacious and clean, and the guests' cars drove away one after another, leaving faint taillights behind. Not long after, there were not many people left in the banquet hall. "Reporter Zheng." A man stepped forward. Shuyi glanced back. She was an executive of a certain capital company whom she had only met once, but usually chatted with her on WeChat. The man came forward with a smile, leaned very close, and said drunkenly, "Are you alone? I'll take you home." This person usually looks like a human being in social situations, but now he didn't even exchange pleasantries, and his thoughts were clearly revealed. Shuyi, "Thank you, no need." The man got closer and took her arm. "Let's go. It's not easy to take a taxi when it's raining so hard." Shuyi frowned and pushed his hand away. "No need, thank you. My boyfriend will be here later." Hearing the word boyfriend, the man looked at Shuyi, and when he looked at her, he knew that what she said was not an excuse, so he turned around and left without saying a word. Next, another young man made the same invitation to her. This is also an acquaintance, but Shuyi knows that he is a rich second generation who really plays with tickets. It seems that today is not a serious financial reception. After dismissing that person with the same emphasis on boyfriend, Shuyi stood by the wall. Originally, she felt uncomfortable when she was spoiled by the time today, and when encountering such things one after another, there was an unknown fire in her chest. The scene of her standing in the cold wind happened to fall into the eyes of Qin Xiaoming, who walked out of the banquet hall. Qin Xiaoming was moved with compassion, and turned to Shi Yan and said, "Isn't this Shuyi? The little girl was so pitiful waiting for you at night. There are so many people here, and it's not convenient for me. Find a chance to help send one away, let's go." Shi Yan glanced over, and saw that the woman's cashmere scarf was wrapped several times and wrapped up to her chin, making the face on it look as big as a palm. Under the bright cold light, her face was slightly pale, and the tip of her nose was also red from the cold, but she still couldn't hide her delicate features, her almond eyes and red lips, bright and delicate, like a finely carved porcelain doll. Standing there, it has a pitiful taste. When Shuyi looked up from the phone, a black Bentley slowly stopped in front of her. At the same time, there was a sound of footsteps behind him. Shuyi turned her head and made eye contact with the man walking towards her for a moment. The man's eyes paused for a while. The crystal chandelier above his head cast a cold light on his gold wire mirror frame, and the snow chain swayed slightly on his cheek. "Reporter Zhong." He stopped, and the arc of the arms outlined by the suit showed a bit of alienation. "Shall I give you a ride?" Shuyi had never seen this man before. But she was thinking, why are the rich second generations all so casual now? No thanks. The eyes behind the lens are decorated with bright lights, and the end of the eye is raised upwards. It should be a frivolous look, but it reveals a sense of oppression that cannot be ignored. So, under the biting cold wind, Shuyi met his gaze and added, "My boyfriend will pick me up right away." One word at a time, the word boyfriend is emphasized, and the subtext means, I am a person with a boyfriend. The corners of Shi Yan's mouth curved into an almost imperceptible icy arc. He put one hand in his pocket and walked away. The parking officer opened the door, he bowed into the car, and the Bentley sped away. Chapter 2. The taillights of the car formed a hazy circle of light in the rain curtain and gradually disappeared. Shuyi snorted coldly and opened his jaw. The rain stopped, but the banquet hall was also empty. The parking attendant and the doorman checked the surrounding facilities, and the cleaning staff drew watermarks on the ground with a mop. A gust of cold wind blew over, rolled up a few dead leaves, and floated to Shuyi's feet. She tightened her scarf again, and in this bleak night, she didn't know whether to be angry with that Shi Yan whom she had never met or Yu Xingzhou. Finally, when the wall clock struck 12 o'clock, a familiar car slowly drove over and stopped at the door, and then Yu Xingzhou got out of the car in the rain. Before he could speak, Shuyi ran over in the rain, threw himself into his arms, and acted like a spoiled child while hugging his arms. "I'm freezing to death." Yu Xingzhou persuaded her to get in the car, put on the seatbelt and rub her hair sideways. "I'm sorry, it was raining so hard that I didn't see the side of the road clearly. I took the wrong fork in the road, and it took me a long way to turn up." Hearing Yu Xingzhou's gentle voice, Shuyi's grievance quickly disappeared, and instead, his guilt for him surged up, and he said softly, "I'm just talking casually, how are you doing today? Are you happy?" Holding the steering wheel in his hands, Yu Xingzhou sighed, "How can I be happy if my girlfriend doesn't accompany me? I'm sorry." Shuyi twisted his upper body and looked at him with a smile. "Who is celebrating your birthday with you today?" Yu Xingzhou opened his mouth and was about to speak when Shuyi rushed to ask, "Is it Su Feng?" Su Feng is Yu Xingzhou's college roommate, and the two have been in touch after graduation, and they have a very good relationship. He's really getting more and more flamboyant. Shuyi said. Yu Xingzhou glanced sideways at her. "Why do you say that? I used to think he was a straight man, but I didn't expect to use perfume now." Shuyi suddenly moved closer to Yu Xingzhou's neck and took a few sips. "I think it should be suitable for me to use." "Yeah." Yu Xingzhou nodded lightly, and changed the subject. "How was the interview today?" When she arrived in front of her boyfriend, Shuyi didn't want to hold it any longer, and said angrily, "Who is it?" Really, the interview that was originally scheduled was said to be pigeons. Not one was revealed. "Don't be angry." Yu Xingzhou rubbed Shuyi's hair with one hand free. "Capitalists are inhumane, don't be as knowledgeable as them." "Hello." Shuyi clutched her hair, a little unhappy. Why are you rubbing my hair all the time today? It's so annoying. Back home, Shuyi didn't even have the strength to take a shower, nor was she in a hurry to take off her makeup. She kicked off her high heels and spread out on the sofa. Her eyes couldn't hold her anymore, and her consciousness was quickly fading away. However, at the moment when she was about to fall asleep, she suddenly remembered that she hadn't confirmed whether Yu Xingzhou had arrived home safely, so she immediately got out of bed with a carp. The phone was not found in the jacket bag. Shuyi touched the shoulder bag again, but still couldn't find it. Finally, he simply emptied everything in the bag, but still didn't see the phone. Shuyi sat on the sofa and recalled what happened tonight. According to her trajectory, the phone could not have been stolen. Then, either he forgot it at Warner Hills, or he forgot it in Yu Xingzhou's car. The mobile phone is too important to Shuyi's life, and there is no way to rest assured if she doesn't find it, so she immediately pulls out the iPad to locate the mobile phone. A few minutes later, she saw that the red dots on the map became more and more clear, but her mind became more and more confused. Her mobile phone actually appeared in Jiangqing No. 1 People's Hospital at this time. Really stolen? Impossible. She obviously got into Yu Xingzhou's car with her mobile phone, and she didn't go anywhere during that time. The only explanation now is that she forgot her mobile phone in Yu Xingzhou's car, and Yu Xingzhou went to the hospital right now. But why did Yu Xingzhou go to the hospital at this time? His sudden illness? Or was there a car accident? Shuyi didn't dare to think about it, got up immediately, changed a pair of pants and went out. It was still windy outside, and a car was speeding past on the road. Shuyi didn't have a mobile phone and couldn't hail a car online. He stood in the cold wind for more than 20 minutes before waiting for a car. The city hospital was still brightly lit in the middle of the night, and the smell of disinfectant filled the air with the cold wind and rain. Shuyi opened the car door, and the rain hit her face, covering her face. Holding an umbrella, she casually wiped her face, looked around, and saw Yu Xingzhou's car at a glance. But Yu Xingzhou was not in the car, and Shuyi didn't know how he would find Yu Xingzhou in such a big hospital without a mobile phone. The rain was so heavy that the umbrella couldn't cover it. Shuyi's abdominal discomfort became more and more serious. His back was sweating, and his feet were sloppy. He walked towards the outpatient building step by step. Difficult. Suddenly, she stepped on a puddle, staggered, and then fell to the side. Fortunately, there was a car parked next to her. Although she was a little hurt when she fell, she didn't fall on the ground full of water. Shuyi stood up slowly, looked down at the car logo, and immediately bounced away quickly. This is a Rolls-Royce with serial number plates, which is not to be messed with. Those who don't know it think she is touching. Rubbing her wrists, Shuyi continued to walk forward while supporting the crumbling umbrella. However, when she was less than 10 meters away from the outpatient building, her footsteps suddenly stopped. Although the rain was heavy, she could still clearly recognize that the man who walked out slowly was her boyfriend. But her boyfriend was holding a woman in his arms at this time. The woman was still wearing Yu Xingzhou's coat. That coat was bought by Shuyi. The thoughts in his head germinated wildly and grew into shape. There was only a membrane in front of the truth, but Shuyi was still trying to comfort himself. It should be just friends. Yu Xingzhou has a good personality. It's normal to come to the hospital to see friends at night, and they don't have any close contact. But in the next second, the woman hugged Yu Xingzhou. Yu Xingzhou raised his hand and stroked her hair, with a helpless smile on his lips. In an instant, Shuyi felt that the raindrops pierced into her flesh and blood like ice picks, and it was so cold to the bone. After hugging for a while, the woman raised her head, and Li Hua looked at Yu Xingzhou with rain. The two of them were so close that their breaths could intertwine. From Shuyi's distance, she could only see the woman opening her mouth to say something intermittently, while Yu Xingzhou's expression seemed to become more and more unnatural. Immediately, the woman stepped on her toes and kissed her. Shuyi closed his eyes abruptly as if seeing something dirty, and did not open them for a long time. Yu Xingzhou, when I opened my eyes, you pushed her away. You push her away, and I will listen to your explanation. I don't know how many seconds passed. Shuyi frowned tightly, opened his eyes one by one, and the picture in front of him became clearer and clearer. Not only did Yu Xingzhou not push the woman away, he was still responding to her kiss. His slender hands slowly raised up and hugged her waist. The rain is getting heavier, and it seems to annihilate the city. The night sky was like a movie screen with the lights turned off, and many images of the past appeared in front of Shuyi's eyes. At first, she didn't like Yu Xingzhou. At that time, she was about to be in her senior year, and her roommates said that they found a junior student who was a lower grade was very handsome, so a few of them ran to the playground to look like paparazzi. It's okay, not as exaggerated as they say. Shuyi thought so, and quickly forgot about this person. But Yu Xingzhou fell in love with Shuyi at first sight. For a 20-year-old boy, his pursuit is always enthusiastic and straightforward. He sent flowers, confessed his love, and blatantly sang love songs to her at the party, which was full of vigor and vitality. But Shuyi didn't like this. She didn't want flowers, she didn't accept gifts, and when she sang, she turned around and left. At that time, many people thought that Yu Xingzhou would not last long, including Shuyi, who thought that he was no different from those boys who were hot for 3 minutes. But Shuyi did not expect that Yu Xingzhou would not give up on her until she graduated and entered a newspaper as an intern reporter. After leaving the campus, Shuyi has to get up early every day to work and stay up late at night to write press releases. With a pitiful internship salary, she is always worrying about projects worth tens of billions or hundreds of billions. Unsuitability to social life caused Shuyi to be depressed for a long time. At this time, Yu Xingzhou became the only color in her life. Shuyi still remembers she agreed to be Yu Xingzhou's girlfriend on the phone that day, but Yu Xingzhou took a taxi to meet her, just for a legitimate hug. In fact, most of my friends didn't understand Shuyi. They said that besides his handsome face, what else could stand out about Yu Xingzhou? The family conditions are mediocre, and the job prospects are not very promising. You can find better ones. Shuyi still remembers his answer at the time. I think he is very sincere. What a rare quality. But why did people change so quickly? The focus of her eyes was once again on the steps of the outpatient building. Several nurses who came out in a hurry showed envious smiles when they saw the passionate couple kissing. What a good couple. Overly reasonable is true. The indifference is real. The habit of rubbing your hair is real. Only Su Feng is fake. Maybe even the faint perfume belongs to this woman. Shuyi felt that it was a joke to come to the hospital in the rain late at night. Reason told her that she should not be an outsider at this time, and she should step up to defend her ownership. But she couldn't move her legs, and she didn't want to stage a bloody drama in this crowded hospital. Her self-respect for her identity did not allow her to make herself so embarrassed. After looking at it quietly for a while, Shuyi touched his face. His hands were covered with rainwater. I don't know if there were tears mixed in. She walked towards Yu Xingzhou's car, took off the bracelet that Yu Xingzhou gave her, hung it firmly on the door handle, and turned to walk into the rain. The rain was pouring down at night, and the thin silver chain was washed by the rain and was crumbling, but there were still icy spots of light. It looked like Shuyi's talking eyes, saying coldly, I have seen everything you do.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe to our channel for more captivating illustrated romance audiobooks. Don't miss out on our latest releases and be part of our growing community. Hit that subscribe button and embark on an enchanting journey with us.